Models in Metal has just become the internet's #1 favorite anti-ASMR channel. I'm going to start with this. Well, hey guys, welcome to Models in Metal. Tonight's episode is a passing tribute to Oystein Aarseth, also known as Euronymous, the legendary original guitarist from the band Mayhem. So it's a little bit of a black metal special. And Frizzle Fry, you got any others or any other topics or special segments?
Well, yeah, we're going to be doing a record store shout out and, well, a bit of a mention to some recent albums that have dropped within, well, this week.
Very neat, very neat. That was Frizzle Fry coming at you with D Nasty on Models in Metal. Hope you guys stay tuned, and we hope that we're as entertaining as we always usually are. All right,
as much as we think we are.
Yeah. Well, today I'm going to be resuming work on the Gundam Sandrock that I was working on last week. I'm going to be doing some more work on, the arms. I'm going to be doing the legs, and hopefully we're going to get at least to the waist. And what you got going on tonight, Frizzle?
Currently working on the rest of the minifigures that I was doing the last couple weeks. I actually was able to paint one.
Very nice. Hell yeah. Those will you be showing it tonight on the show, or would you be posting them on Facebook?
Actually, I have the one in hand at the moment.
Oh, heck yeah. Let's see it, guys.
It is the Barbarian.
Oh, nice. May want to go a little bit to your left. Oh, there you go. No, you're right.
Yeah. I lightly sandblasted the original coating off of it, which was already a solid black. But what I did was I added a light gloss black to it to give it more of a shine.
Oh, that is awesome, dude. And this is what we do.
The only complication I ran into was actually getting the paint to not bubble while it was drying, because I dried it out in the middle of the sun.
Oh, nice. That is always the biggest pain in the butt, though. Trying to deal with the
bubbling.
Yeah, the bubbles.
Because I thought filing it down want to damage anything because it is plastic.
Yeah, filing it down might damage it, but might also actually create some pretty rad effects. If we wonder what I'm doing, I'm actually reaching for a paint. So if you may or may not have seen my arm, trying to go through that. The paint that I'm going to be using for these parts is actually the Createx Wicked Metallic Charcoal.
Wow.
Yeah, because I'm wanting to kind of give it that, that rusted or that metallic look.
Yeah.
But also kind of keep it mostly true to the original color of the part.
Yeah.
But then again, actually, the metallic charcoal may not be the best idea. See, that's the beautiful thing about art, is the fact that you can make executive decisions right off the rip.
Make it your own.
Absolutely. In fact, what I may do is actually use the very same chainmail silver color by Vallejo Game Air.
Hmm.
And so that way I can make it more rustic.
Well, if you're going for like battle worn somewhat, that would be the
Yes.
perfect color to use.
Oh, absolutely. That's mostly what I'm going for, though.
Plus, the work you did in the previous video on it, the paint itself really took very well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've got my little figurings out on that. At some point, at some point, what I think we should do that'd be really fun is actually a solo build.
Yeah.
And then we post like 2 different videos in the same week. So that way, like, that way we can also have some models being the stars of the show,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, the models work quite hard to make the show look good.
I mean, the models are, in the name.
Yeah, it's like the first word in Models and Metal, at least at last track.
Yeah. So they do kind of play a big role in what we do.
Exactly. And they don't suck.
They most definitely do not suck.
Yeah, Models good. We
Models
like Models.
Poser
Disturbed
black metal.
sucks.
Yes, Disturbed does suck, and Poser black metal.
And speaking of black metal, we're going to be having a special episode tonight on Oystein Arseth, also known as Euronymous, and his contributions to black metal as we know it today. And I'm not talking about NSBM. That right there is a complete different thing. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the necro riffs,
as far as
picking. Yeah, the
first NSBM goes and Euronymous, I refuse to say he played any part in whatever that is.
Yeah, in fact, Euronymous, I believe, was a communist.
I think so.
Yeah, because his office had pictures of goofy-looking old guys with thick black-rimmed glasses.
That does seem pretty communist.
Yeah, I mean that's like the first indicator of a dictator.
Yeah, the very first indicator.
Yeah, but either way, it's kind of funny too when you think about it, because it's like, why?
Just why? And then look at the other guys that were in Mayhem with Euronymous.
Yeah, but I mean, long story short, politics in general is funny.
Yeah.
Just because of how worked up people get about it.
Especially the ones that get mad and want to fight over it.
Yeah, it's astounding to me, but okay, so I mean the main thing that we're going to be talking about with Euronymous is actually his contributions to black metal itself. Not even specifically Norwegian black metal, because if I'm not mistaken, he had a few other bands from other countries on Death Like Silence Productions, which was his record label. That they released he released the first record from Psy. He released the first Burzum record. Well, actually, the first couple of Burzum records, but
I think it was the first 2 or 3, roughly.
Yeah. And then, of course, the animosity with Mr. Vikernes after all that.
Yeah.
Okay, so back on topic. Um, Euronymous, like, it wasn't just Mayhem that made leaps and bounds of contribution to black metal, like, as it is, but we really can't go too much into the actual theory of what black metal is without Euronymous, you know? Um,
Yeah.
I mean, Euronymous had his own little code of conduct for the quote-unquote black circle of Norwegian musicians in the 90s. But, I mean, to be honest, my personal opinion on black metal actually kind of leans more toward what Satyr from Satyricon said, that black metal doesn't have to be satanic as long as it's dark.
I can agree with that because when you really look at a lot of more obscure black metal groups from not just Norway, but when you look at ones from France, like Astaroth.
Oh, Deathspell Omega.
Yeah, a lot of their songs are based off of just like the darkness of a forest or just nature and cold, freezing mountains.
Well, I mean, the thing that I love about black metal, and this is one thing that Euronymous and Mayhem themselves definitely, they put a niche on black metal where, you know, like, okay, in 1981 and 82, when Welcome to Hell and Black Metal by Venom came out,
Yeah,
it was more raw thrash sounding, but it was missing, you know, a little something something. And the Norwegians, they really took a little bit of their locality, you know, like their local nature, you know, like Norway put the fjords, the mountains, the sea, and
yeah.
all of the sounds of that into their music. And I feel like that was a big thing that started. I can't really give Euronymous full credit for it, but you know,
He played a part in the revolution of black metal.
absolutely, like, I mean, it's like, you know, of course, the pagan elements of black metal really came out of bands like Enslaved,
Windir.
Burzum, Emperor, all that, you know, and like with that came that natural organic sound.
Yeah.
And so really, like, it was, I feel like in a way it was somewhat Euronymous, but not all the way, you know?
He, in my opinion, not just revolutionized like black metal and played a huge contribution to that, but with his part in Mayhem and what he did to contribute not just to their songwriting but their stage performance.
Oh, absolutely. Like,
To me, that was also on our previous video we talked about shock rock and like horror elements being involved in heavy metal.
yeah. And then
Euronymous took that and just went to the extremes on black metal.
yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it was actually between him and Dead, like their idea is to like start using rotting pig heads on stage.
Yeah, and
But
when you look at what they started doing, that really shifted black metal all over to a more, well, I guess gave it shock value.
well, it pretty much just said, you know, hey, we're Mayhem, we're pissed off, and we're serious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing too with Dead, well, from what I've read, he would bury his clothes
Yeah.
and he'd dig them back up, and then when they'd go play a show, he would wear them because he wanted to look more and smell more like a rotting corpse.
Yeah, like he wanted to be dead, and then eventually,
It
well,
happened.
we know that story. As sad as it is, we may actually on Dead's birthday, we're probably going to do another special on him. So, well, him and the psychiatric anomaly known as the Cotard's delusion.
Yes.
But we're gonna save that for then. Because,
Yeah,
we
because
don't want.
that's a whole nother story.
I mean, we may also do something along those lines on a mental health awareness month.
Yeah, and probably on Corthon.
Yeah. But Euronymous, he definitely, he created a lot of imagery.
Yeah.
He wrote quite a few songs and guitar hooks. But a lot of his contribution to black metal wasn't just musical. A lot of his contribution to black metal was actually, like, economic. He took black metal, which was a niche genre even then as it is now, and, like, pretty much brought it international.
Oh, yeah, because at the time period when Mayhem came out,
Yeah, like between
you gotta think, like, most big black metal that people knew of around that point was more thrash-based.
Oh yeah, I mean, even the proto black metal bands like Bathory, Venom, Merciful Fate, like that Holy Truck or Celtic Frost, even they weren't doing a lot of the stuff that bands like Mayhem were doing, and a lot of it was actually Euro's guitar hooks.
Yeah, they were more, to me, almost like thrash and speed metal.
Well, if speed metal did a bunch of crystal meth, like,
well, yeah.
I mean, this comes from a guy who loves playing black metal on guitar.
And
Dude.
your work on and your guitar work is actually really good and similar to that of Euronymous.
Oh yeah. No, like, actually, I'm going to kind of go personal for just a second, and not just like personal op-eds, but this is actually like more personal. Like when I write a song, like, I'm pretty sure that some of what I write is actually heavily influenced by between Dark Throne, Mayhem, and Celtic Frost.
And yeah, which a lot of what I've heard you play, you could really see where your influences come from.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, some of it comes from Norway, some comes from Poland. And that brings me back to the topic, though, of, when I say that Euronymous took black metal and made it international, like, he took Norwegian black metal, which was, at the time, one, maybe two bands. It was just Mayhem and Burzum, Emperor, Dark Throne, and all that were a little bit, well, they were a little bit different at that time, at least until like 93, 94. You know, when Emperor released In the Night Side Eclipse, you knew that it hit the fan because, like, black metal evolved again.
It took another big turn.
Oh, dude, it took a complete total U-turn. But no, Euronymous took the idea of black metal and the ideology of, his own ideology, as silly as it was, but you also have to put into perspective the fact that Euronymous was a pretty young dude. He was like, what, 20, 22, something like that?
Yeah, I believe so.
And
like he was fairly young, not a teenager, but a little bit older.
No, he wasn't a teenager. He was just a little bit older than the man who killed, like, the man who took his life. But he, as we do when we're younger like that, he had some pretty out there ideas on what people should, like, black metal people should be like, like how to be a metal guy.
Yeah, and he had somewhat of a, I guess, in a way, like a code.
Yeah, it was like a code of ethics for black metal bands. Like, basically, like, when he had his shop, Helvete, which means hell in Norwegian.
Yeah.
Um, he had like certain musicians that hung out there all the time that were his inner proteges. He had like Faust from Emperor. He had um, Fenris from Dark Throne. Of course, Varg Vikernes, the rest of Mayhem when they would come around, like all those dudes, and they would hang out and they all got together. But at the end of the day, it was Euronymous in his shop that really put black metal not just on a map, but on an international level of, I suppose, notoriety.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
Which there is one band that was heavily influenced by Mayhem that I've mentioned before, but a lot of people have never heard of them.
Yeah. The
group Crypt Howl.
Yeah.
A Russian gothic black metal group.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I guess when we post the video, we'll post some links.
Yeah.
So that way you guys at home can, or wherever you're at, can stay tuned. But mainly, I feel like the absolute main contribution that Euronymous made to black metal, he did it with help.
He did. He didn't do it all by himself.
No, he did it with the help of Snorre Blackthorn Rook, who was the other guitarist of Mayhem at the time, and was actually there when he died.
Yeah.
He was in the car, I believe. But Snorre and Euronymous together, when they were like, when they were writing riffs for De Mysteriis Dom Sathanas,
yeah,
like they really came out with a completely unique sound that it's never been reproduced, but it's been emulated. And I can even say that I'm quite guilty of having emulated, some of those ideas and stuff in my own music.
Yeah.
But yeah, the two guitarists of Mayhem at the time, Euronymous and Snorre, they pretty much epitomized and created what we now call the necro riff, which is that dead sounding, just ripping your balls off fast riffs.
Yeah, and to me, it's almost like dirty.
It is, but it's supposed to be, like it's supposed to be sorted and like beautiful at the same time. Like that's the thing about black metal that I love, is the fact that it in itself is one big giant if I can get the word out, that would be great. It's one big giant contradiction. Thank you.
Yes. Contradiction.
Yeah, it's like living but dead. It's ugly and yet beautiful. It's so many of these things that, nobody ever seems to think about when they're like, you have bands that have been writing black metal for upwards of 30 some odd years, and they've never once thought about the fact that, like this music is not just supposed to be ugliness. It's supposed to be like every emotion that the human condition could possibly experience, all wrapped up in one.
Which ultimately, when you put it that way, black metal is one of the most passionate subgenres of metal.
Oh, dude, I wouldn't have it any other way. Like it's passionate yet malevolent, yet abusive, yet loving and nurturing, and yet
there's so much emotion involved in it, but at the same time, the negative emotions involved in it are just as equal as the positives.
Well, yeah, and I mean it's like you can't really have any of the negative emotions without the positives. It's once again, it sounds like a contradiction, but at the same time, like black metal is its own contradiction.
It really is.
It's
But
almost like it's almost like a Masonic type contradiction, where through darkness one finds light, through life one finds death, through blank you find blank, but it's the complete opposite. But that's one thing.
essentially, that's black metal.
Yeah, that's one thing I've always been attracted to about black metal, though, is the fact that it's contradictory. It's I mean, granted, it is a big protest against religion, and I mean
Yeah,
specifically Christianity, but we're not getting into the politics or religion side of it.
that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, that would be another segment for the ideological side of black metal. But we're here to talk about the specific things that Euronymous contributed that are good.
And ultimately, I believe he did contribute a lot to extreme metal.
Oh, absolutely. Like, if you listen to some early Cradle of Filth riffs, you'll
Yeah,
hear some Euronymous influence in there. If you listen to At the Gates, like, there's a few influences from Euronymous there.
on really early at the gates.
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially
Early,
that first Cradle of Filth demo.
oh, dude. And we're not talking about the Lost album. That's a whole nother ballgame for a whole nother show. But no, like Euronymous, even after he passed on, like we're still looking at bands that are heavily influenced by him and by
And,
his ideas and his riffs and stuff. And maybe not his bad ideas either. Like, we're talking about just solely on his musical genius, is what I'm going to call it, because,
he really was a musical genius.
he absolutely was. And, I mean, even his solos, like, there's one Mayhem solo that to this day, number one, has not been played right since Euronymous played it in 1993. But the solo to Freezing Moon still has the hairs on the back of my neck stand up every time I hear it.
Every time I listen to that song and Death Crush.
Oh, yeah. Well, Death Crush, that would have to be a whole nother. Dude, we could do a whole episode just on the musical beauty that is the Death Crush EP.
Yes, because that EP was flawless.
Oh, absolutely. Like, even though there is one thing that I do kind of complain about on that album, and you can stop me when I'm wrong. Of course, I say that a lot, but some of the lyrics, like, check out songs like Necrolust, and tell me that some of those lyrics don't look like a first grader wrote them just trying to write down bad words before the teacher catches them.
They do, but when you look at how old these guys were at the time,
Yeah.
it kind of makes sense. Like, they wanted to sound as extreme and gory as they could.
Yeah, which, I mean, that's actually kind of respectable, though, in the fact that, these kids, like, at the time were very young.
They knew if we do this, people will recognize it.
Oh, absolutely.
It would, I guess, get their name out there.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if they would have used, generic, like, stereotypical lyrics, those songs may not have gotten as noticed as they did.
True. But then again, also, when people talk about Death Crush, they never really talk about Necrolust, which I don't understand why, because that main riff from Necrolust, like, any of you guys listening, if y'all want to just pause this video and find the video, or find just a album version of the track Necrolust, you'll see what I mean.
You'll completely get why that riff is amazing.
Dude, I know the first time I heard the Death Crush EP, I had to go back and listen to it again and again.
The first time I heard it, I was about 12 years old,
Yeah.
and I listened to it, about 12 times after that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Death Crush is actually still on my rotation. You know, it's still
I,
on my, like,
I,
dude, we're
I,
actually talking about, like, my band is actually talking about covering it. Like,
I could see that.
the title track, like, I feel like, you know, I feel like Brett would nail the vocals. Me and Hector, dude, like, we can sit there and belt it out all day. Um, Another fun one to cover though would be Chainsaw. Which,
Chainsaw was really good.
yeah, which I mean, anybody that knows why we're only saying the word chainsaw, good for you. If anybody doesn't understand why we're only saying chainsaw,
Well,
quick reminder: I do have a 6-year-old nephew that might see this video. So,
we got to be censored somewhat.
well, we don't really have to be censored, quote unquote. Like, we have to be considerate.
Yeah, we don't want to, say anything that not so much would be offensive, but inappropriate.
Yeah, like I don't want to say something and then have his daughter, or my own daughter, like watch this video later on down the road and be like, dude, like what are our dads talking about? Like that's gross. Yeah.
Why would they do that?
Well, yeah. I mean, it is us
Oh,
after all, but
we got carried away.
I mean, my name is D Nasty.
Ah,
I say D Nasty things.
you nasty giggity.
Yeah. Okay, so what I've got going on in the model right now though is I'm actually kind of doing some weathering on the steel parts. Like, okay, so I did this part with the chainmail steel color, and then I'm going back and just kind of overtoning it with rust, so that way it looks more weathered.
Okay. And I love how you're going with the rust on it, though.
Yeah. Oh, dude, this is probably my favorite part of any build, is like the rust out. But the unfortunate thing about these semi-wet cakes, once they smooth out, you have to rough them up, which is what I just did.
Okay.
Yeah. But also, this part that I'm working on is actually a undertone. It's like one of those parts that you can see it, but only barely.
It's like if you know where it is, you'll notice it.
Yeah. Well, then again, anybody with a pair of eyes, a brain, and like half a lick of common sense could figure out that, hey, dude, this is part of an arm.
It was part of an arm. Oh, I thought it was an ankle.
It's a cankle.
Cankle. For the longest time, I didn't know what that meant.
Oh, dude, I can't remember where I heard it, but it was pretty funny when I did. Because I immediately and no sooner went out and used it.
Yeah, that's what I did.
And then proceeded to get my ass handed to me. Like,
Yeah.
because of the fact that I said it to the completely wrong person. Like, I can't even remember the person's name, but I can tell you it was a girl. And I was like 10 years old.
Ah.
Which, I mean, I personally think it would be really funny if we did a special block one day on just profanity first times.
Oh, I got plenty of those.
Oh, yeah.
And
Like,
usually the outcome was always bad on my end.
Yeah. Yeah, I could say the same. It was usually never good. Like, that nasty language, man. It got me in trouble every time.
Don't
Especially,
say bad language to your parents.
yeah, no, man. Like, what happened? Like, when I was in school, it like anything that you said or did went straight on the write up.
Oh,
Like, sometimes in quotes. Like, sometimes the teachers would have a little ounce of truth and like not put the direct word that was said, but they would just usually put like obscenities or swear words. You know, like churching it up. I guess that's like the first inklings of PC culture in our society was like when, early millennials were in first grade. Like,
you
because,
said anything remotely that they didn't like.
yeah. And I mean, it's like, I remember going to timeout in first grade. I had to fill out what was called an action plan, where they hand you this really flimsy yellow sheet of paper and they made you
I,
draw a picture of what you did.
I had to do that because a kid was picking on me, so I went over to this kid and farted on them.
Nice.
I got in trouble. And of course, they made me draw a picture of what I did on a chalkboard.
Nice.
And that was I was laughing the whole time, and I got in trouble for that too.
Yeah, and that was probably the very first. That was the very first inklings that you were going to be a part of something great named after a majestic name for a fart.
Yes, that was the very beginning of I am probably going to become the front man of a band called Anal Wind. And that's where I am today.
Yep. Remember, kids, your farts make you who you are today.
Fart can be inspirational.
Yes. Dude, we need to like make posters that say that.
Farts are inspirational.
Yesterday's farts are today's turds.
Ah. Oh,
I
that's a good
like though
idea.
how we flowed from a serious conversation about the influences of a legendary musician
The
to
farts.
just a straight up comedy set.
And the flow of it is just perfect.
He said flow.
Ah. I had a dog named Flo, actually.
Nice.
Cool dog.
Yeah, any dog named after the progressive chick is cool.
Actually, I think she was named after Mark Volman from Flo and Eddie.
Nice. Well, I'm just gonna say the progressive chick because let's just get this out there. She's kind of hot.
The one from the car insurance commercial.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about somebody from a prog band.
No, 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 no. Yeah, even though it will never be my love, my eternal heart, Betty White.
R.I.P. Betty White.
Yeah. She really was a good actress.
She really was, and stayed relevant throughout her entire career.
Well, yeah, because I mean, she had that razzle dazzle about her, dude. And I'm pretty sure that even now, there's most dudes out there that she wouldn't have a problem in a fist fight with.
I guarantee Betty White could have probably kicked my ass.
Oh, same.
And I would be proud to say that happened to me.
Yeah, it'd be like, okay, yeah, you just got your ass kicked by a 99-year-old lady. Now, I'm not going to say woman. I'm going to say lady.
Yes.
That's what Betty White was first and foremost.
She was a lady. What you saw with Betty White was what you got with Betty White. She didn't fake anything about her.
Oh, no. Nah, man, and she apparently had a mouth on her, like, she could, like, somebody was sitting there doing something she didn't like. She let them know.
Oh, yeah, she would. And from what I saw, too, Betty White was also a major metalhead.
Yeah. Which, I mean, like, if you're sitting at home or wherever you're at, and you got a beer in your hand, please, for us, pour one out for Betty.
Pour one out for Betty, pour one out, and then drink one for Lemmy.
And euronymous.
And yeah, euronymous.
Even though he did not drink.
No, he didn't drink, but, I mean, try to write a black metal riff for euronymous. And ultimately, the art that euronymous created.
Yeah.
Which, ultimately, what this channel is about, and what we do on here, it's about art.
Absolutely. And that's why we see me sitting here painting or working on a model. Okay. So now I'm about to start on a leg, seeing as how I've got an arm finished. Okay, as far as the arms and legs and whatnot go, I will be building those piece by piece. Like, I'll build one on camera, but then I'm going to build the other one off.
And ultimately, this is going to go up onto YouTube so people can share it. And
absolutely. And I mean, like, if it's our comedy bits that you like, or if it's our, musical bits, like, you find, like, that you like those more, please throw that in the comment section. Like, tell us what we can do to make your experience listening even more epic.
Yeah. What do you want to hear more of?
Yeah, like, tell us what you want to hear more of. We may throw some polls up there. It's in the planning. It's in the planning stages right now, so it's nothing concrete.
Yeah.
But I've thought about setting us up a Patreon account so that way, like, people that want to see more, like, models, or want to see more metal, or want to see more of whatever, dude. Like,
let us know.
Your voice can be, like, you can support us, and your voice can be heard, and, ultimately, like, it's symbiotic, dudes.
Yeah, you're just as much of a part of this as we are.
Absolutely. And that's, like, that thing that I really love is the camaraderie aspects of things. Like, as a metal scene, worldwide, not even just in the southern U.S., like, the thing that we have that no other scene has is that camaraderie, that sense of togetherness, of unity.
Unity and the support that is constantly shown.
Absolutely. And that support actually brings us to our special segment, our record store shout out. Here, let me turn this off. Our record store shout out and review. Tonight's record store shout out and review is actually going to a business owned by a couple of good friends of mine. It's a father and son owned business. The father is a veteran of the Gulf War. So if you like going out and supporting your vets and local business, it's pretty much a 1-2 punch just to hop by B&T Music over in downtown Villa Rica, right across from Evan's Barbecue. As far as my review on them, and of course, this is as unbiased as I can possibly be. If I were just a regular customer walking into that store, right when you walk in, it's like, hey, what's up? What can we do for you? Timmy, he's a good friend of mine, and he is actually probably one of the best businessmen that I know out of, a guy that's still, like, in his mid-20s. Like, he's got it so well together that him and his dad have been able to open this shop and serve the West Georgia area, selling vinyl, CDs, tapes, figurines, posters, instruments, all kinds of stuff. So if you guys want to check them out when you're in the area, hit up the description. I'll throw an address down in there. But like I said, B&T Music, that is probably my absolute favorite record store that I've ever been in.
Can't go wrong with some good vinyl.
Absolutely not. And, like, Timmy and Bob, they've got whole walls of, like, first presses of stuff. They've got I don't know if they sold it yet, but I know that they've got the first press Emperor and the Night Side Eclipse.
I
And it's
want
only
it.
like $375.
That is actually a really good price considering what you're getting your hands on.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I feel like we should do a whole nother episode on Emperor alone, just because that's a very, 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 very big topic that you can go on for a long, long time.
Well, when you mentioned bands that made a huge impact on metal all around, Emperor is one of those bands.
Yeah, but I figured that tonight, you know, the first time we did a record store shout out, I'd throw a little shout out to my boys Bob and Timmy at B&T Music. Like I said, I love those guys to death, and I'm sure you will too. So if y'all want to check them out, I'll probably share some of their Facebook posts at some point if you follow us on Facebook. We don't have an Instagram or a Twitter up yet, but we do have a YouTube channel, and that is on our Facebook page. So if you guys would be awesome and go follow Models and Metal on YouTube. All right, and so where do you buy your CDs and whatnot from, Logan?
Well, actually, for the most part, I don't live around record stores in my area, but I hit up my local thrift stores, like even go to like a local Goodwill. I've found Scars on Broadway, Serge Tankian, Slayer. I found some Morbid Angel vinyl for like $1.
You found Morbid Angel at Goodwill?
Yes.
Holy crap.
Yeah, for $1.
That's pretty rad.
And that's the thing is, you never know what kind of stuff you can find.
This is what we've got done on Sandrock tonight. Hang on, let me turn on my ring light and not hit that.
Oops.
But I'm going to kind of bring this over.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I got a whole arm belt. Which is pretty cool.
Got the head.
Now that we can put it on the Sandrock itself.
And we are one step closer to getting this Gundam built.
Might I add, we're not sponsored by anybody, so if anybody wants to sponsor us, wink, wink, you know.
Hey. We'll take it.
Yeah. But, this was D Nasty coming to you from Models of Metal.
And, of course, Frizzle Fry coming from, well, Models and Metal and the Metal Dungeon.
And we'll be hitting you guys up next week with a hot new episode. Tune in, turn up, and break the knob off.
Damn straight.